The following is a BCTV special presentation.
The best race car drivers in the world give 100% every time they're in the car. On race day, you know, I want to be number one.
His dream was to get to the Indy Car level and race against guys like, at the time, me and Scott Goodyear, and you know, he was one of the best, you know, no doubt. He had more talent than most everybody out there, and at such a young age, he was so good. He probably didn't know how good he was, and just it's tragic.
How the drivers felt, you know, I think collectively, you know, seeing him qualify on the ovals was just a treat. You know, he had such car control and could really yank out a time that nobody else could, and we leave a lot of drivers just like, wow, yeah, that's awesome. And then off the track was so genuine. You know, was such a great guy and very caring and very understanding, and it's that sort of energy that was around him that it was fun to be with.
Greg was a big part of the kart championship. You know, I think Greg had a bright future. He was a true talent, natural talent, and you know, I think he was going to really represent our sport well, you know, and into the next millennium. And you know, he's just it's a huge loss for kart, and you know, he was. To me, I'm going to miss him as a competitor, and you know, I thought of him as a friend as well.
When the camera went on and the cameras were around, he was very professional, almost like a 40-year-old, but not that way around his buddies. And you know, he was always had a laugh and always had a joke and always had something positive to say, not anything negative, and was always trying to strive to do better. And you know, even starting the race at Fontana, he didn't have to. There was no need for him to, but he wanted to go out there and win. And he was standing there with the cast on his hand. You know, he had to have been in pain, but he wouldn't show it. He was smiling and ready to go.
I'm in it to drive the race car and to win car races. You know, it was my lifelong dream to be an Indy Car driver. You know, I looked at Al Jr. and those guys, and I said, that's what I want to race. I want to do that.
As a young boy, I had a race car in my garage. I used to sit in there and make race car noises for years, and then yeah, shifting gears and doing the whole thing.
I was 6 or 7 years old. I just had a little fun go-kart that every Sunday my dad would close off his dealership lot for 2 or 3 hours, and I'd drive around his lot for a little while.
Still got a dented up ring gutter there that he ran into, and at 6, 7 years old, and he started racing at 10 and won his first race and kept on going from there.
It was clear from an early age that Greg Moore was born to race. He was a natural, a child prodigy. By the time he was 15 years old, Greg Moore had already won 3 go-kart championships. The future was bright.
He did a driving school back east in Formula 4 in 2000 when he was 15 years old. They kind of bent the rules and let him in, and he won the contest out of 800 people. And
didn't have a driver's license yet?
No. He was about 10 months away from getting a driver's license. So at that point, we kind of figured that obviously he had some talent and some ability, and the people who looked at David Embringham was his instructor. He's a current Formula Atlantic champion, so they kind of thought he had the ability, and we went on from there.
Shortly before his 16th birthday, Greg Moore took the next step towards his dream, racing in the Formula 1600 series.
Well, we went to Mosport, and he had never driven there. He had had his driver's license, I think, for 10 days when we arrived for his first race. There's 43 cars. He qualified second and finished second. And the next race he went to was at Shannonville, and he qualified second and won it. And the third race he went to, he was on pole, so it looked like we were obviously well on our way.
him sawing back and forth in the wheel. He gets it in a slide, and he tries to duck inside through turn 3, and he's got it in a severe understeer. He's barely hanging on, and he's done it. No kidding.
Finished the year, Rookie of the Year, finished 3rd or 4th place. We had a couple crashes and a couple mechanical problems that we hadn't counted on, and then he went right into 2-liter.
It's not intimidating for me because I'm used to racing against older people, but I think you're out there and a 17-year-old kid is going just as quick as the older adults.
Right now, heading out into turn 4. Of course, looking on at Father Russ, Greg Kersley somewhere down here along the pit wall. This 2000, this will be a 20-lap race event.
In 1992, Greg Moore surpassed all his expectations when he won the USAC Formula 2000 Series in his rookie year, capturing the final 3 races of the season.
The young man over 17 years old out of Maple Ridge, Canada, coming in several points down to Greg Tracy, but Moore out in front over a 2.5-second lead. He's looking real solid right now.
Take your time, Greg. Take your time.
Check this out here. All right, Greg. Well, Dan, are you happy?
No, I'm happy. Thank you. Outstanding. Good job. Our initial goal was to be 2 years in 1600, kind of getting our way through it. We didn't think we'd have the success, and then we said, well, for sure it'll be 2 years in 2-liter because it's going to take us at least that long, and he won the championship in the United States in his first year. So we had to move on, and Indy Light came out with a new car, the Lola, and decided this was the year to make the move.
The year was 1993. Indy Lights, the series right below Cart, normally didn't let 17-year-olds drive. In fact, nobody under the age of 18 was allowed in the pit area. But in Greg Moore's case, they made an exception.
Ready?
You bet. Driving is driving. What are you thinking about?
All right.
Good.
Indy Cart is definitely faster, has more horsepower, but I think the relative speeds, the cornering speeds and whatever, plus the kind of cars the tracks you race on, the crowds that are out there, I think this will be the biggest single jump you'll make.
Greg, you're in 6th place. It's lap 47.
You got to get by Groff. What? You got to get by Groff. You guys are doing like 26.2s, 26.3s. I know you are, but you got to try and get him on the restart. I know you can go faster than that with this car the way it is. You know.
In his first ever Indy Lights race, Greg finished 5th, one of 8 top 10 finishes as a rookie.
Good job, son. You did good. You were 5th, man. That's a good start.
That's what we wanted.
Yep.
Top 5.
1 year later at Phoenix International Raceway, Greg Moore won his first Indy Lights race at the age of 18. He was the youngest driver ever on that circuit to take the checkered flag.
Yesterday when you were pulling it into gear, I think you might have had your foot on the gas a little bit.
His second season on the Indy Lights circuit was another giant step towards Cart. Under the tutelage of Chief Engineer Steve Chalice, Greg Moore was learning fast. He had 3 wins in 1994, finishing 3rd in the overall standings.
Keep at her, buddy. Keep at her. Good job.
However, preparing to eventually drive alongside the big boys of racing required more than just driving a car.
Now the tire smoke, and he pinches the corner, slides through the corner, turns it around.
I don't really enjoy running that much. You know, you get out there and you start running around the track and you know it's really boring, I find. But you know, I know it's good for me in the car, and I know it's just good for me, you know, all around.
This goes up. This is a fire road up to Gross.
A lot of people don't realize how much, you know, how much physical activity actually goes on in the car. You know, most people think that you're sitting down and you're just driving, you know, just like a normal day car. But, you know, you have to be in pretty good shape to drive a race car.
weightlifting, you know, you have to do that. You have to have physical endurance in the car, which is cardiovascular, but it's also muscular.
Golf was not a requirement, but it was a sometimes humbling passion.
Well, I can drive a race car, but I can't hit a golf ball, so.
1995 was the breakout year. Greg Moore was recruited by the Players Racing team, and he was now the heavyweight of Indy Lights. Greg Moore broke fellow Canadian Paul Tracy's record of 5 straight wins to start his 3rd Indy Lights campaign. During that 95 season, Moore would win 10 of 12 races. His worst finish was a 5th, which unfortunately came in front of the home fans in Vancouver on a race course that was never kind to the kid from Maple Ridge.
In the defensive line, that posture for Greg Moore right now. Chavez hits heat from behind, and he spins off Greg Moore. Chavez gets through the corner. There goes Buell and Firestone, Boyer and Siebert, and Greg Moore has been punted off the lead. Greg Moore soldiers on. He'll add to his point total, and as a result of where he stands, will be the man to have scored more points in a single Indy Lights season than anyone in history.
He always had a dream. I think that we knew he was a very good driver. We wouldn't have invested the time and the effort we did into it to get him this far. To have this kind of a season, I don't think anybody could actually sit down and intelligently dream that, because that was what it is. It's just been a dream year for us.
Greg Moore wasn't quite 21 years old when he realized his dream, a full-time driver on the kart circuit. The promise he had made to himself as a child had been delivered. But that didn't mean he had made it to the top of the learning curve.
You've got to get used to things coming at you way faster. It accelerates way faster. I mean, the Indy Cart does 0 to 100 miles an hour and back down to 0 in just over 4 seconds. So, I mean, it's an unbelievably fast machine, and it just takes a little while to get used to that.
He finished 3rd in just his 3rd kart race and had a 2nd place finish in his 5th outing.
Passes that Greg Moore is doing right now are very hard and very close.
There's Greg Moore as he turns for home. And Moore comes across 2nd.
June 1st, 1997, Greg Moore wins his first ever kart race at the Milwaukee Mile.
Use Pappas' car to peel the points leader into 2nd place, and he does.
It was a bit of a gamble. You know, we stretched the fuel mileage, and a lot of the guys went into the pits and pitted. We didn't. We thought we could make it to the end, and you know, that's how we won the race. Probably. You know, we stayed ahead of everybody. You know, we were the fastest guy on the track, but we still made a big gamble, and paid off.
I don't think Michael has enough time. Moore thinks he hasn't won. With his fist in the air, he takes the checkered flag.
Just, you know, pure elation. I mean, you're just so happy. It's one of those things. It was a lifelong dream of mine to get to this level and to win a race against Michael Andretti and Mario Andretti and people like that. And then, you know, there I am. I'm racing against Michael and I win the race. And it was a true feeling right from the heart.
And resets the record as youngest winner of a PPG Kart World Series event.
A week later in Detroit, Greg Moore won again.
And now Greg Moore has a decision to make. I could have passed him for 2nd. Can I pass him for my 2nd consecutive lead? Bruce McCaw and the team looking on. It's all in the hands of Mark Blundell.
He's only got 2 corners to go.
Blundell in the middle of the racetrack. Defensive position. Michael Andretti doing the same in what is now 3rd place. And Blundell slows. Moore is in the lead. Blundell is out of fuel. And it has all come apart for the PacWest teammates. Victory. 2nd straight win for Greg Moore.
It wouldn't be all podium finishes for Greg Moore in 1997. He had his share of hard knocks. But like every driver, Greg Moore knew that risk went hand in hand with reward.
There's so many people out there that are willing to give 110%. Doesn't matter the wall is there or you know, 230 miles an hour or 200 miles an hour. There's so many people that will give it and not worry about it. That's really what it's all about, is giving that 110%. Because if you're thinking a little bit about crashing, you're not doing your job the best that you can, and you're not 110% professional.
You've got the race leader sandwiching in.
Moore finished 7th in the 1997 drivers' standings. In 1998, he won 2 more races, starting with a victory on May 10th in Rio de Janeiro.
Zanardi back on the throttle. but I don't think he'll do it. Greg Moore, sudden victory, the third of his career. Zanardi second, and the celebration breaks out in the Forsyth Racing pits. And there was another very...
2 months later, Greg Moore won his 4th career kart race at the US 500 in Michigan. He would end the year 5th in the driver's standings.
Oh, will they go 3 wide? No. It is a point by Jimmy Vassar, and he will win the US 500.
Miami Speedway.
March 21st, 1999, and for Greg Moore, the year begins with his 5th career victory.
Off of 4. Looking at the checkered flag. The gamble pays off. Greg Moore takes his 5th career win. His 4th on an oval.
I'm sure that there's a guy in Saskatchewan who's been working on a farm his whole life who's got just as much, if not more, talent than I do. But he's just never had the opportunity to show it. So I've been very, very fortunate that way. But I think once you get to the level that we're at now, a lot of it is focus. And I mean, there's a lot of people who do well, you know, for 1 or 2 laps. You can go fast for a couple of laps, but to be able to do it for 500 miles, it's a different story. I'm in it to drive the race car and to win car races. Racing wheel to wheel, you know, 200 miles an hour, that's, you can't take that away. That's extremely, extremely exciting.
Greg Moore raced 7 times at the Molson Indy Vancouver. The first 3 as a member of the Indy Lights circuit, the last 4 with kart. And even though he and the fans desperately wished for success, for whatever reason, fate wouldn't allow Greg Moore to stand on the winner's podium in his own hometown.
And we're underway. It's a clean start in Vancouver.
In 1996, it was mechanical problems.
Moore's got smoke coming out of the car. Moore is 9th.
Greg, we have a mechanical failure on the back of the car, so we're done for the day.
It's just an output flange that connects the axle to the gearbox broke, and you know, no one's fault. It's just a faulty piece. It's just our string of bad luck just keeps going.
In 1997, it was a minor collision.
That's really a shame. Having a pretty good race.
That's Blundell who spun, and here comes Moore.
In 1998, it was more of the same. Another collision, another short day, another wait till next year. And once again in 1999, it was home course disadvantage. Greg Moore down a lap to the race leaders, wanting so badly to break the Vancouver jinx, gambled with regular tires before the track had completely dried out from a pre-race downpour. Sadly, the gamble didn't pay off.
If we were on the lead lap, no, we wouldn't have taken that gamble. We probably would have done what everyone else did, but you know, we didn't have to make another stop. Everyone else had to make one more stop, so we thought, well, okay, we'll pit now, do the race on one stop, and you know, go from rain tires to slicks. And it was a gamble that, you know, look up in the sky there, you see a big, huge blue patch, and if that had been over, you know, 3/4 of a mile, we would have been looking pretty good because the track would have dried out a lot quicker. But just wasn't to be today, I guess.
Greg Moore had a special and loving relationship with his mother, Donna, one that both of them cherished. He loved coming home to spend time with her and the rest of his family.
Meeting the fans, shaking hands, signing autographs, being in the public eye, that's part of the job there. But then when I go back to Maple Ridge and visit my dad, my stepmom, and my brother and sister, then it's kind of like, well, you know, this is the Moore family. This isn't Greg Moore, the Indy Cart driver, and his brother, sister, and stepmom and dad. You know, it's just the family in general.
He was a hero to all the kids. They all looked up to him. It's devastating. It's a tragic loss for Maple Ridge.
Greg was a wonderful person to be around, and he made us smile.
To think that a boy from Maple Ridge at such a young age has left us.
We've lost one of our young heroes. Young man who was exemplary of what youth is all about in Maple Ridge. a gentleman that was always exuberant and loved life. And he always sort of the role of with young people, and the young people looked up to him.
I don't think that anybody could ever possibly replace Greg Moore, and there's no way that we, particularly as a team, or the kart community in general, will ever forget him. He was as you say, a poster boy for this sport. He was a very intrinsic member of our family and of our team. We're going to miss him greatly.
I think the name Greg Moore would have been with us for many, many years. I mean, as I said, he was going to be a champion. I think he'd been a champion many, many times over. I think we all saw a great future with him. Frankly, I think you need to count him alongside Villeneuve and others as, you know, a true Canadian hero.
There's a lot of drivers with really good talent, but he's turned into be a nice young man, and that's probably been the thing that I can have the biggest control over. He has a God-given talent to drive a car very fast, and I can't really control that. So keeping him as a nice person will be my goal, and that's what it's turned out to be. So that's my biggest pride.
Nothing is no risk. Sleeping's not a no-risk thing. I mean, walk across the street, you never know. You never know if the guy's looking down, reading a book, or changing the radio station. You just don't know.